Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Have you ever raised your hands to Allah and felt like the sky remained silent? You made dua in the quiet of the night. You whispered it after salah. You repeated it again and again. Days passed, weeks passed, but nothing seemed to change. And somewhere deep inside, a question slowly appeared. Why is my dua not being answered? Not out of disbelief, not out of arrogance, but out of exhaustion. Because when the heart hopes for something sincerely, waiting can feel heavy. So the real question is not simply about dua. The deeper question is this: when Allah delays something you desperately want, what is He actually doing for you? Every believer eventually faces this moment. You pray for guidance. You pray for relief. You pray for something that feels essential to your life. And yet the answer does not arrive when you expect it. In those moments, the mind begins to whisper questions. Did I do something wrong? Is my faith too weak? Does Allah hear me? These thoughts appear quietly, not because you doubt Allah, but because you are human. We live in a world built on speed. Messages arrive instantly. Packages arrive the next day. Results are expected immediately. But dua does not follow the rhythm of the modern world, and this creates tension inside the heart. You raise your hands, but the outcome remains unseen. You ask again, but the situation looks the same. So the heart begins to wonder, what if the answer is no, or even harder to accept? What if the answer is, wait? Islam teaches something subtle but powerful about dua. Allah tells us in the Quran that when His servants call upon Him, He is near, not distant, not unaware, near. This means the moment a believer raises their hands, that moment is already seen, heard, and valued. But closeness does not always mean immediate results, because Allah also tells us that human beings sometimes love what harms them and dislike what is actually good for them. We see the present. Allah sees the entire path of our lives. Sometimes what we ask for is good, but the timing is not. Sometimes what we want is sincere, but our hearts are not yet ready to carry it. And sometimes Allah delays a blessing, because something far greater is being arranged beyond what we can imagine. The companions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, understood this deeply. They believed that no sincere dua is ever wasted. It is either granted in this life, or it is stored as reward for the next life, or it removes a harm that we never even realized was coming. This changes the meaning of delay, because what appears to be silence may actually be protection. What feels like waiting may actually be preparation. And what looks like unanswered prayer may be Allah reshaping your path in a way you cannot yet see. There comes a moment when the believer begins to understand something important. Dua is not only about receiving what we ask for, it is about building a relationship with the one we ask. When you raise your hands again and again, you are returning to Allah. When you whisper your worries, you are admitting your need for Him. When you continue making dua despite delay, you are demonstrating trust, and that trust is beloved to Allah. But here is the quiet realization many people miss. Sometimes the delay itself is the gift, because during that waiting period, something inside the believer begins to change. Patience grows, humility deepens, dependence on Allah becomes stronger, and slowly the heart begins to ask a different question. Not why hasn't Allah answered me yet, but rather, what is Allah teaching me during this wait? When a believer understands this, the meaning of dua transforms. You no longer measure your prayers only by visible outcomes. You measure them by connection. Every time you raise your hands, you are standing before the one who controls every outcome in existence. Nothing you ask is ignored. Nothing you whisper is lost. And nothing you wait for escapes the knowledge of Allah. So if your dua feels delayed right now, do not assume rejection. It may be timing. It may be protection. It may be a blessing that requires patience before it arrives. Continue asking. Continue trusting. Continue believing that the one who hears every prayer knows exactly when and how to answer it. Because the believer's hope is not built on immediate results. It is built on certainty in Allah. And certainty never goes unanswered. Not in this life, and never in the next. If this reminder touched your heart, take a moment to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments about a DUA you are still holding on to, and subscribe to the channel to stay connected for more reminders that strengthen faith and bring the heart closer to Allah. Until next time, may Allah accept your du'as and fill your heart with patience and trust.